Hi, welcome back to another edition of Pop Stories by Fred Dietz. This is another story that I wrote from the Uncle Ronnie stories, the Bigfoot and Sasquatch Chronicles. This one's titled, Just One of the People. Where did I leave off? Asked Uncle Ronnie. You were coming out of the studio, answered the grandniece. You are so cute and smart, replied Uncle Ronnie. The world better look out for you. She laughed as he tickled her. He moved over to his seat. When I came out of the building, there was a huge crowd screaming my name. I was a star. I've been going back and forth for a month. That's why most of you don't see me at night. Several looked at each other. They seemed to say, that's right. It has been a while since he was at the bowling or played softball. No more bowling or any of that stuff. He looked at all of them. He asked the crowd, which would you rather do? Go on an adventure or do what you usually do? Everyone yelled adventure. I got to tell you, it's been quite thrilling over there. He said with a smile, I am like a TV star. Everywhere I go over there, I am signing autographs, taking pictures, and doing interviews. Shoot, I have been on their red carpet for premiere movies. You should have seen me in my tuxedo. He smiled. It's been quite something, he said, relaxing in his chair. A smile came over his face as he sat there for a moment. I forgot to tell you, I got to be the Grand Marshal of one of their parades. That's right. I was up there on a float waving to all the crowd. They told me afterwards it was their highest rated parade in 2 decades. Someone asked him, what is the one thing they want from us? Without missing a beat, peanut butter, replied Uncle Ronnie. What? Replied the same speaker. They can't get enough of it, responded Uncle Ronnie. It was a bit tricky translating it into their language, but I used one of their phone apps, and I was good to go. You are now looking at the king of peanut butter in the Bigfoot and Sasquatch Union. I am hoping to go worldwide by next month. A few of those around the fire went, wait a minute. You have been buying up a lot of peanut butter lately. Yep. I now have Uncle Ronnie's peanut butter. My smiling face is on every jar. The peanut butter is in gallon jars as ours would be too small. They would never get their fingers into one of our size jars. He started to smile. They have a few other things they want me to bring over. Plus, there are a few things from them that I plan to market over here. The first one being Foskey. I figure in a couple of years I will be able to retire. He nodded his head for a moment as he smiled. I have been taking in a lot of their media when I was there. Since I was walking on the red carpet, I went in to see one of their movies was about. It was about a Bigfoot with a Sasquatch partner who can change shape into a human and his pet dog. He had to stop a ring of human conspirators from taking over the city. It was actually pretty good. I know I'll get it when it comes out on DVD. I even watched some TV. After all, I had the best setup. I have the screens in a production studio. I figure I have 10 screens with 10 different shows going. It was weird to see the family shows and their comedies are a bit different. They have superheroes unlike any we have ever seen. I don't think the translator always picks up on the comedic subtitles. He shook his head for a moment. After my show, I went for a slow walk about the city. It is huge. It is located... Sorry, I can't say that part as it is a secret. He held his hands out for a second. I had to get used to all the problems of being a human in a Bigfoot world. It was like I was visiting an alien world right here on Earth. You could hear the collective wow go around the campfire. Even the disbelievers were nodding their heads, drawn into what Uncle Ronnie was saying. Like I said before, they have a way to make their city invisible. He paused to take a drink of something that he swore was not made by Uncle Willie or Foskey when Aunt Priscilla asked what he was drinking. But he did wink at a lot of us around the fire when Aunt Priscilla stopped looking at him and went with one of her friends. Like I said, I got a chance to wander about their city by myself. On one of my trips of discovery, I found something interesting. Uncle Ronnie looked into the fire. Everyone looked at him. Uncle Ronnie kept looking into the fire for a moment. I got a chance to go to one of their museums. I even got a tour from one of their top scientists. Everyone kept looking at him. You would not believe the things I was shown, said Uncle Ronnie as he shook his head. You would not believe it. Like what? Asked several grown-ups who had moved closer to the campfire to hear Uncle Ronnie. He showed me a book, continued Uncle Ronnie. It had reports about Bigfoot and Sasquatch ancestors going back before the earliest ones of man. He showed me some of their fossils, some of our fossils, and some cool dinosaur fossils. They had species we have not even seen yet. Uncle Ronnie simply shook his head. Uncle Ronnie started again. The scientist showed me moon rocks, Mars rocks, and Plutonian rocks. I got to hold them all. It was so cool to hold rocks from another planet. And these were not rocks that fell to Earth. These were rocks taken by Bigfoot astronauts. The scientist started a planetarium show on his computer. By the way, in our universe, there are actually 15 planets, including Pluto. Uncle Ronnie commented. He showed me one of their rockets that I had to say are way ahead of ours. The scientist continued. Some of those UFOs your government never talks about were actually our ships. Sorry about that. Uncle Ronnie readjusted his seat. Uncle Ronnie started again. The scientist showed me so many things. So many were things we had invented, but they had improved. Then one night, when I got there, I was told I needed to go to the Sasquatch Nation. Cool. I figured it would be another great adventure. I got into a car and was taken to the STV set. The thing was a giant SUV that took me there. It was bigger than most of those stretch limos those big Hollywood stars take to those fancy parties. It was nice and fancy. So now, I'm on the Sasquatch part of the world. Since my show was not until the next day, I explored the city. Same thing. Bit different architecture, but it was still amazing. I tried as many of their street vendors as I could. I got invited to a bachelor party. I know there's a video somewhere over there of me dancing and drinking. Uncle Ronnie and the adults started to laugh. It's the next day, started Uncle Ronnie again. I went to do the show. It was inside a stadium. There were 100,000 seats and all were filled. They were all there to see me. I even saw some in the stands wearing an Uncle Ronnie mask. He rubbed his chin as he started to grin, as it was as if he was looking at the stadium. The stage was on the 50-yard line. Up on the stage were the coach of the team and the Stars quarterback. He looked at some of the adults who now had little ones sitting on their laps. I can tell you, I now have an autographed football in my apartment in Bigfoot City. They made a helmet for me. On it is my smiling face. You can turn a part of the top and there is a jar of my peanut butter underneath. I found out later it was part of Uncle Ronnie memorabilia that is available. There are t-shirts, posters, jerseys, and so much more. We started talking football. I started to interview the two of them. When the show was over, they started to do a barbecue. A big barbecue right there in the stadium. I was out there, right on the field. I was signing autographs, taking selfies, and enjoying their barbecue. A Sasquatch barbecue is not something to be missed, he said as he patted his belly. After the show, I did a ceremonial bike run. I rode with Bigfoot and Sasquatch bikers. We rode on the border of their land and ours. Let me tell you, those were some cool big bikes. It sounded like thunder. Here he looked at the adults. If you heard thunder the other day, it may have been us. He paused to let that sink in on his audience. You could see several members were thinking hard about it when 2 or 3 said, "Yeah, I remember that." Just as Uncle Ronnie was to start back up, Aunt Priscilla and several of the ladies interrupted him. "It is time for the littlest ones to go to bed," said Aunt Priscilla. "That's if they can," said several of the moms. "With all that sugar and Uncle Ronnie's stories, they will be up half the night looking for the channels and staring out the window at the stars."